Anthony's not the kindest person.
Okay. So today, we're going to start with Blake. Close your computer lid.
Dang it, I got hit by an avalanche.
Okay. Blake, remember when you hit things, you break things. You break things, you have to pay for them. Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah.
$20 he has a bill for. It's in the office right now. All right.
There's no way. It costs like $10 on eBay.
Then buy one for $10 on eBay and give it to me, Blake.
It ain't gonna be new, I'll tell you that. It's gonna be used.
They probably charge $10 to ship it, so it's $20.
All right. Shh. All right, here we go.
What?
Yeah. Right to Tokyo.
So to ship me. Can I put it on the radio? I thought you said something else.
Wow. What do you think?
What?
Say that word.
No, just call it good. And there. Thank you. Solving two-step equations. So, 4x minus 2 equals 6. You will be expected to show each and every step of these. You will not be allowed to just write down the answer. Okay? So, when you solve two-step equations, it's the opposite of PEMDAS. Okay? So you want to do grouping symbols last. Okay? That's nice, but we're not there yet. You want to do grouping symbols last. You want to do exponents kind of at other times, but we won't do exponents in here with this. Okay? You want to do multiplication and division after you do addition and subtraction when it's just written like this. Basically, you want to do what's least associated with the x, okay? As far away from the x as possible, and then you work towards the x. Okay, so on this one, what will we do first? Divide by 4 or add 2?
Wait. We're dividing?
You have a choice, Blake. Divide by 4 or add 2. Which should we do first? We should add 2 because the x is over here being multiplied by 4. So we have to do what's less associated with it. We have to add 2. So 4x equals 8. Then, now it's a one-step equation, but I want to see that work. Then, what do you do to each side?
Divide by 4.
Divide by 4. So x equals 2. So I want to see all of the work. Okay?
You know when I bet you I'll solve it right away. I am not solving this right away.
M over 5 plus 2 equals 7. What should we do first? Work with the 5 or work with the 2?
Work with the 2.
Work with the 2. Because the M is more closely associated with the 5 than it is with the 2. So we'll subtract 2 from each side. So M divided by 5 equals 5. Because 7 minus 2 is 5. Then what do we do to both sides? If it's M divided by 5, we have to multiply. So M equals. Okay? Shh, Blake. Don't be annoying, Blake, please.
I think the bag goes my bestie.
No, I am not.
7 minus r equals 21. This is a two-step equation. Even though it doesn't look like a two-step equation, it is. You have to get r alone. Right now it's 7 minus r. How can I get r alone? What's my first step, Braden? Subtract 7 because we're at a positive 7. Even though this is a subtraction problem, we're still going to subtract 7 because we got to get 7 down to 0 to get to leave this side. So to get 7 down to 0, we have to subtract 7. Subtract 7 from this side, so negative r equals 14. Now, I have a negative r. How do you get rid of negative in front of r? Blake? No. Susie, how would we get rid of the negative with the r?
Oh my God, I don't know.
Multiply by what? Because we want a positive r, so we multiply by what number to get rid of the negative r? Not 14. By not just 1, but negative 1. We'll multiply by a negative 1. Because a negative 1 times a negative r is a positive r. 14 times negative 1 is negative 14. Okay? So this was a two-step problem. First we subtracted 7, and then we multiplied each side by a negative 1.
We should go on to the assignment. I think I know it now. I'm going to ask for help with the first problem.
Okay, Blake, what's the first step? What should we subtract? It's a subtraction problem, but we need, Blake, it's a subtraction problem, but we need to get this 6 down to 0. To get a positive 6 down to 0, we need to subtract 6. So even though it's a subtraction problem, don't automatically add. Subtract 6. So what's left? Well, negative 2r is left. Don't change this into 2r. It is negative 2r equals, no, 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 no.
Negative 18.
How about what Ben said? Well, if you weren't talking so much, we would have heard him say, Ben?
Negative 18.
Negative 18.
Because you add that.
Because we are at negative 12 plus a negative 6 makes a negative 18, or negative 12 minus 6 is the same as negative 12 plus a negative 6. Gives us negative 18. That's one step, but we're not done. Alejandra, how do you get r alone in the next step? Braden, I know you didn't, but still, hands to yourself.
Wait, what did I do?
I said Braden. I didn't say Blake. Divide by what? We want to get r alone by itself. Not just 2.
212.
Negative 2.
Negative 2.
Negative 2. Because it's a negative 2 there, so we have to divide by negative 2. What's a negative 18 divided by a negative 2?
9.
Positive 9.
Yeah, I had it first then.
Okay, it's not a race, Blake. Okay, this will be a tricky question, so pay attention. Okay, on this one, the fraction bar works like a grouping symbol. So it basically makes parentheses on the top. So if you see a big long fraction bar over a number, just put parentheses around the top. PEMDAS says you do parentheses first. So when you solve an equation, you do parentheses last.
But we not do PEMDAS right now. So we do for last.
Yes. So I want to do this last. So what's my next step to get rid of this 2? I am dividing by 2 here. So as you said, we are going to multiply by,
Two.
yeah, so we're multiplying by 2. So we're going to multiply by 2 on this side, multiply by 2 on this side. The 2's are going to cancel here. So we get m plus 6 equals 16. Now, my parentheses, I don't need them anymore because there's only just the m plus 6 left. What do I do to each side to get rid of the 6? Subtract it. So m equals 10. Okay? All right. So, let's just look over what we've done. Okay? So in the first one, I do what's least associated with the x, so I move the 2 first, then divided by 4. In the second one, it was m over 5, but these are most associated, so I have to get rid of the 2, so I subtract 2, and then I multiply each side by 5. In this one, when you subtracted the 7, even though it's a subtraction problem, you have to subtract 7 because 7 needs to go down to 0. We were left with a negative r. And to get rid of a negative, we multiply each side by a negative 1 to make it a positive, because in the end we need a positive. Here we subtracted 6 from each side, so we got negative 2r equals at negative 18, and then divided by a negative 2. And here we had the fraction bar. So let us now do a 10-question worksheet, and then that'll be